Okay, so let's dive into this. We've got a review here of the new Disney Pixar film, Inside Out 2.
Right.
This one's from Mary Munoz over at Moviescramble. Thanks for flagging it.
Absolutely. And, the first Inside Out was well, it really resonated, didn't it? Connecting feelings and memories.
Totally. It gave us a whole new language for talking about emotions.
Mm-hmm. And this sequel, it picks up a few years later. Riley's heading towards high school.
Oh boy. Prime time for emotional chaos.
Exactly. Anyone who's been a teen or, raised one knows that's when things get complicated.
For sure. So our plan here isn't just to read the review, but to really unpack what Mary Munoz is saying. What are the key insights about the film, these new characters, the message?
Right. And we should probably quickly remind ourselves of the OGs, the original emotions the review mentions.
That's a good point. We've got joy, voiced by Amy Poehler.
Sadness, Phyllis Smith.
Anger, Lewis Black, of course.
Fear, now voiced by Tony Hale in this one. And disgust, Liza Lapira.
Okay, got the crew. So the review jumps right into the big change. Puberty hits, and the emotional control room gets an upgrade. Or maybe a hostile takeover.
Maybe a bit of both. Mary Munoz highlights that a whole new set of emotions basically bursts onto the scene.
Okay, this is the juicy part. Who are the newcomers?
According to the review, we've got anxiety, voiced by Maya Hawke.
Interesting casting.
Yeah. Then embarrassment, that's Paul Walter Hauser. Envy is Ayo Edebiri.
Oh, nice.
And ennui, sort of that teenage boredom and indifference, voiced by Adele Exarchopoulos.
Ennui.
And
Yeah.
Mary's description. She says they barge in. They don't just show up, they take control and edge out the original 5.
Wow. Okay, so it sounds like a real power struggle inside Riley's head.
Pretty much. Which leads to what happens with Joy and the others.
Right, the review calls it a side quest for them.
Yeah, they basically get kicked out of headquarters and have to do on this journey.
What's their goal on this quest?
To restore Riley, essentially. To get back her sense of self, which gets all messed up by anxiety and the new crew taking over.
And this is all happening while Riley's dealing with some pretty intense teenage stuff on the outside.
Oh, yeah. The review specifically mentions a summer hockey camp.
High pressure.
Totally. And then she finds out her 2 best friends aren't going to the same high school as her.
Oof. That's
Yeah.
rough.
Huh.
New environment, old friends leading. Classic teen drama fuel.
Definitely. And Mary makes a really good point here. She says, maybe younger kids won't fully get the specifics, but for the adults watching, it's very familiar.
Right. It taps into those universal feelings of change, anxiety about fitting in, friendships evolving.
Exactly. It shows the film's aiming for that deeper connection, not just surface level stuff.
Okay, so the story's got depth. What about the look of the film? How does the animation hold up?
Mary raves about it, calls it as gorgeous as the first one, superbly animated.
High praise. Does she give examples?
Oh, yeah. She describes a scene with joy and sadness, putting memories into the belief system. Says it's like walking into an enchanted forest.
Wow.
Yeah, sparkly and colorful. Makes you want to just gaze upwards and exhale a cathartic wow.
That sounds incredible. Capturing that internal world visually is so key.
Totally. And there are other fun visual details mentioned, like Riley's stream of consciousness. Apparently it's just full of pizza and boy bands.
Oh, sounds about right for a teenager.
And the core memories are shown, like, filed away and stacked right up to the edge of the screen, almost overwhelming.
Gives you that sense of complexity building up.
But maybe the most powerful visual she describes is anxiety quite literally spiraling.
Spiraling? How so?
Like, visually depicting that out-of-control feeling. Mary calls it a very accurate depiction of what it feels like to be in the grip of a panic attack.
Whoa. That's intense for a Pixar movie.
It is, and she says it's a visual that stands out for all the right reasons. It's significant.
Yeah, I can see why. Making something so internal, so visceral, that's powerful filmmaking.
Exactly. It makes the abstract, well, real. But, despite tackling heavy stuff like that, the review says the humor is still very much present.
Good. We need the laughs, too. What kind of jokes are we talking about?
Well, there's something called the sarcasm that opens up when ennui takes over Riley's mind.
The sarcasm. Love it already.
Right. Mary calls it a fantastically well-written joke and says Adele Exarchopoulos' voice work plus the visuals are just hysterical.
Okay, looking forward to that one.
There's also nostalgia, apparently voiced by June Squibb, who makes these little pop-up appearances that are described as adorable as they are funny.
Nostalgia. That's a fun addition.
And we get little peeks into the parents' minds again, too. Mom, Diane Lane, is apparently panicking, remembering her own teen angst.
Relatable.
And Dad, Kyle MacLachlan, just wants to go back to sports.
Huh. Some things never change.
Seems like it. Oh, and Mary adds a little tip. Stick around for the credits. There are a couple of end credits scenes.
Good to know. Always worth staying for those. Okay, so visuals are great, humor's there. What about the core message? The review mentions rather grown-up messaging.
Yeah, this seems to be where the film really hits home, especially for adults. Mary pulls out a line from Joy that sounds, well, heavy.
What is it?
Joy says, maybe as you get older, you just feel less joy.
Oof. Yeah, that's a gut punch, all right.
It really is. And the central conflict seems to be the original emotions really struggling with, anxiety just taking over Riley's core beliefs.
So it's not just new emotions, it's anxiety specifically causing problems.
It seems that way. Mary points out that anxiety literally changes Riley's inner voice. It shifts from, I'm a good person, to, I'm not good enough.
Wow, that's fundamental, especially for a teenager figuring things out.
Huge. And the review connects that internal shift to Riley's actual behavior. How she plays hockey changes, how she acts around other kids.
Makes sense.
And she starts imagining hundreds of different possible outcomes for certain scenarios. That classic anxiety loop.
Overthinking everything.
Yeah. Mary calls it a very accurate depiction of how anxiety can just dominate, leading to irrational behaviors and intrusive thoughts.
It sounds like they really went there, didn't shy away from showing the tough parts.
Seems so. And back to that panic attack visual, Riley clutching her heart, struggling to breathe. Mary makes an interesting point.
What's that?
She says showing that in a kid's film shouldn't feel brave, but somehow it does.
Why do you think that is? Maybe because we don't often see mental health struggles depicted so physically and openly in family animation.
I think that's exactly it. It validates the experience. It shows kids and adults this is a real thing. It can look like this, and it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah. And Mary explicitly says seeing this could even normalize conversations around what anxiety is and how it can impact you.
Which is huge, right? Using a massive platform like a Pixar film to potentially open up those conversations, that's significant.
Absolutely. And what about Maya Hawke's performance as anxiety?
The review calls it beautifully done. Describes her starting as all toothy smiles and wringing hands.
Kind of that nervous energy.
Exactly. Before becoming more frantic, unreasonable, and dominant, Mary even calls anxiety the antagonist, if you can call it that.
That's interesting phrasing. Like, it's the conflict driver, but it's still an emotion, not an external villain.
Precisely. So wrapping it all up, what's the final verdict from Mary Munoz?
Overall, it sounds very positive. She calls it superbly animated, says there's plenty to keep viewers of all ages entertained.
And the messaging?
She says it's gentle, but importantly, never twee or cliched. That's a fine line to walk with emotional themes in family films.
Definitely. Easy to slip into overly simplistic territory.
She also praises the voice acting again, calls it extremely well done, and says the visuals are as striking as they were the first time around.
So it sounds like it lives up to the original.
That seems to be the core takeaway. Mary concludes the film packs the same emotional punch as its predecessor, without ever losing its sense of playfulness or joy.
Surety, which she follows up with a little kicker. Something we could all learn from, surely.
Huh. A little food for thought there. Okay, so let's recap this deep dive into the review. We've seen how Mary Munoz highlights the introduction of these complex new emotions. Anxiety, embarrassment, envy, ennui, and the conflict they bring.
We talked about the visuals, how the review praises the animation from that enchanted forest belief system to the really accurate spiraling depiction of anxiety.
Right. And we covered the balance. The review finds there's still plenty of humor, like the sarcasm, but also that quite grown-up messaging, especially around anxiety and how it shifts Riley's view of herself.
And the review really emphasizes that the film tackles this mature stuff like panic attacks directly, but still manages to hold on to that sense of playfulness and joy from the first movie.
Yeah, that balance seems key. Holding on to joy and playfulness while navigating the tough stuff like anxiety. The review suggests that's a big takeaway, maybe something relevant for all of us, not just teens.
I think so. And just think about what Mary suggests. The impact of showing something like a panic attack so openly in a huge animated movie, could that genuinely help normalize conversations about mental health, make it easier for kids and even adults to talk about what they're feeling? It feels potentially quite powerful.
It really does. Makes you think, doesn't it? What part of this review stood out most to you listening in?